All right, so I can tell both from my view stats as well as comments and feedback I'm getting that you guys are hungry for ways to acquire Bitcoin non-KYC or without giving all of your personally identifiable information away. And so that is why today I am very excited to be taking a look at the hot off the press Bisq 2 beta. Let's jump in. This video is made possible by Bitcoin trading cards, and I am pumped to have them as the first sponsor on my channel. I met Aladdin and the team back at Pacific Bitcoin 2022, and I'm not gonna lie, at the time I thought, okay, cool, a quirky little Bitcoin project, but little could I have imagined at the time how this project would capture imaginations. I've personally used these to orange pill people that I care about in my life. The art is stunning and features Bitcoin artists all around the world. You get high quality Bitcoin education on topics like economics and freedom as part of that, which makes this, as you can imagine, a really special project for me. And I'm not gonna lie, it makes you want to collect these. The community behind this is also truly insane. And I think they have a real shot at bringing Bitcoin to the mainstream. So if you're curious to check them out, head over to btc-tc.com where you can find the different series they've launched. And hey, if you do end up snagging some cards, you'll also get some Bitcoin rewards back on your purchase, powered by Jolts. Here's to ripping packs and stacking sats. All right, so for those of you completely unfamiliar with Bisq, Bisq has been around for quite some time. So what we'll now call Bisq 1 was launched back in 2019, and the origins for it go even further back. And I've done a video on Bisq 1 that you might want to check out if you would like to familiarize yourself with some of the basic concepts. But in a nutshell, Bisq is a peer-to-peer platform for buying and selling Bitcoin. You download the software on your computer. It connects through a privacy network like Tor, and you even have a little lightweight Bitcoin node that gets plugged into it. So it is a very, very private way to buy and sell Bitcoin. But there were some challenges. Bisq 1 definitely has a bit of a learning curve. It is not very friendly to beginners. Furthermore, if you're just beginning your Bitcoin journey and you want to acquire Bitcoin for the very first time, in Bisq 1, you actually already needed Bitcoin in order to deposit into the escrow, which served as a way to disincentivize dishonest behavior, right? So if I'm going to buy some Bitcoin and I send money somehow to the seller and the seller tries and makes off with my money, I get their Bitcoin deposit, or the other way around, if I don't hold up my end of the bargain, then they get my security deposit, right? And so one of the huge changes with Bisq 2 is the introduction of something called Bisq Easy. And so this removes that necessity of having Bitcoin in the first place. That is huge. However, as we will discuss in the tutorial, that does not come without any trade-offs. You basically now need to trust the reputation of the seller, but you remove that huge barrier, and you also have a much nicer sort of wizard style flow that's going to guide users through the process. You have a nice integrated chat. You have the ability to support multiple privacy networks, not just Tor, but things like ZeroNet, things like NIM. You have the ability to manage multiple identities. So again, this thing is packed with features that maintain your privacy in all the great ways that Bisq 1 does, but with the introduction of Bisq Easy, I think it's now going to become a lot more usable and a lot more accessible for a wider range of folks. And as we will discuss in the roadmap section after the tutorial, there is a ton of exciting stuff planned. So without further ado, let's jump into the tutorial, but I do want to emphasize again, this is early, it's in beta form. Again, I had to do this video as soon as I saw it because Bisq is a super powerful tool, and I was really excited at some of what they had planned here, but do be advised it's early. Okay, let's jump into the tutorial. All right, so we are on bisq.network. I will, of course, put these links in the description down below. What we want to do is come over to the downloads page, and we will go to the downloads page here, and then you will see the Bisq 2 beta downloads in this section here. As a quick side note, they do have mobile apps, but it's only to receive notifications about trades on your phone, which can be useful if you are particularly active, but you won't get this sort of full engine because it's just a lot to fit into a mobile device. So you'll then grab the appropriate download for your operating system. I am on Windows, so I am going to grab this one here and let that download. And so we can see that downloaded installer here. Now, before we run this, it is always a good practice to cryptographically verify that this is what we think it is. A lot of people find this step onerous, and I can understand that for sure. But again, it is a good habit to try and get used to. And so in order to do that, we're going to need a couple pieces. We are going to grab the PGP signature that is associated with this file installer. So that's just going to download there. And then as well, we are going to grab Bisq's public key here. And so if I come back to my downloads now, I can see that I have those three pieces. I have the file itself, and I also have the public key here, as well as the signature file. And so what I'm trying to verify is that the signature for this file that I'm about to run was in fact produced by the same keys of which this public key is part of. And so to help us out with this, I am going to use an application called Cleopatra. If you do not have Cleopatra, you can get this as part of the GPG4Win downloads, which allows you to do these different cryptographic verifications on Windows. Again, this process is going to look a little bit different if you're on a Mac. Again, don't stress too much about this, but I would recommend doing it if you can. And so in the case of Windows, at least, let's open Cleopatra here. And so what I will do is I will first import the key here. So we'll hit open. And it's saying in order to mark the certificate as valid, it needs to be certified. And so it's giving you some options. We have confirmed it on a trusted website. So we'll go ahead and hit yes. Oh, I guess my certificate is expired. So if you're prompted to do this, you can just create this as well. All right, and so we are going to certify this key. And again, in order to verify this, you can look at this fingerprint that is associated with Alejandro's key here. And if you want, you can go to this verification row in the downloads section and go to this GitHub page, and you will indeed see that fingerprint that you can compare this to. So that is how you know that at least the key itself is what you expect it to be. So we'll go ahead and certify that. Okay, so now that we've got Alejandro's key imported, we can go to this decrypt and verify option. We'll go back to our downloads, and then we will select the signature file associated with the installer we're going to be using. We'll go ahead and hit open. And as we can see, it is verifying the file, the installer, with the signature file. And as we can see, it has been verified. It's a valid signature provided by Alejandro's key. And so this is what we are looking for. So that is all good. So again, a little bit of an extra step, but I would highly recommend doing that for important Bitcoin related things that you are downloading from the internet. After a couple tries with Cleopatra, you will get used to it. Mac, I think, is probably even easier. You have more of those functions directly built in, so you could probably just open up, the equivalent of the command line and run a few easy sort of commands to do that. But in any case, we have verified the download. So let's now come back to our downloads and indeed run the installer here. And Windows is going to unhelpfully throw this stupid thing. We'll run anyway. Okay, welcome to the Bisq 2 setup wizard. We'll hit next. Terms, bunch of terms, and we will install. All right, excellent. So the setup wizard is done. We can hit finish. So upon opening it for the first time, you might get something like this from Windows. Do you want to allow public and private networks to access this app? Yes, we do want to allow that. I mean, do read this, right? Like any fiat payment carries potential risk for chargeback. If there's ever trade disputes, right, there's a process through Bisq to work through those, etc., etc. So we'll accept the user agreement. Welcome to Bisq 2, introducing Bisq Easy. As we discussed, getting your first Bitcoin privately has never been easier. Gentle introduction, which is nice. And then there are a whole bunch of those trade protocols that are coming soon. So go ahead and hit next. So here is my cryptographically generated bot icon. Maybe we just say Rager Major, although again, you can pick something even more sort of ambiguous for privacy purposes. We'll hit next. And here we are on the dashboard of Bisq 2. It is looking clean. And so let's just go straight into Bisq Easy here. And again, I love the emphasis and focus on making this easy. You can tell that that was probably the single biggest feedback they've gotten over the last couple of years, is that, it is a bit of a learning curve to use Bisq 1. So there's this trade guide, how to trade on Bisq Easy. Security model, it's optimized for small trade amounts, right? So you shouldn't be aping tons and tons into this. And it relies on the reputation of the seller. There's usually an experienced Bisq user, blah, 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 blah. Building up reputation can be costly, right? So you're going to get a price premium. But right, like, again, there's always a trade-off. You are going to pay a premium, and typically on Bisq in the past, I have seen about a 5% or so premium. And so this 10 to 15 is like if you're using this sort of easy mode where the seller themselves are, potentially helping you through the process, whatever. How does it work? And then trade rules. Prior to the seller sharing payment details with the buyer, any party can cancel the trade without providing justification. Fine. Once payment details are exchanged, failing to fulfill trade obligations is considered a breach of the trade contract and may result in being banned from the Bisq network. During fiat payment, this is very important. I don't know why you would do this, but the buyer must not include terms like Bisq or Bitcoin in the reason for payment field. And if the trade cannot be completed instantly due to longer fiat times, both traders must be online at least once a day to monitor the trade progress. So that's also important. And in the event that traders encounter unresolved issues, they have the option to invite a mediator into the trade chat for assistance. So we have read and understood. There's a little video that you can watch as well. So let's take a look at this trade wizard here. So do we want to buy or sell Bitcoin? We want to buy. And we can see even in this early beta, there are some offers out there. So there's 39 offers denominated in USD, 39 in euros, et cetera, et cetera. You can see the breakdown here. So that's pretty cool. And so now you will see the different options that are available. So it's everything from ACH, right? You could like put in their bank details and send an ACH transfer. You could do an Amazon e-gift card. Now, an important note on some of these payment methods, some of you are naturally asking, well, like, how do I do this literally privately? And unfortunately, those are probably like your cash options here, which again are going to take a while to complete. And so therein is the trade-off as well. Unfortunately, you can't just go to like a CVS and grab a Amazon gift card, have it activated there, and like pay for it in cash there at the CVS. It has to be an e-gift card that is purchased through your actual Amazon account. So just a mention there. And can you tell that I've looked into some of this? So it is tricky, right? US money order could be a good option as well. But again, they're going to have trade-offs, right? For example, if I pick Strike or Zelle or whatever, like my identity is technically connected to each of these things. Now, there is plausible deniability if government one day comes and says like, hey, what was this $50 thing that you sent from Strike? It was for, a meal or whatever. But I do want to mention that. So again, you do have like absolutely pure non-KYC options like, the cash by mail and these different things. Just for our purposes today, we're going to be fine with Strike and Zelle. And so we'll go ahead and hit next. And let's say that we want to do $100 USD. So it looks like there are no matching offers. GG. Let's change our selection. Maybe 50. Do we do a smaller amount? So what we'll do now is we'll actually just like go and browse the offer book. So that kind of like trading wizard we just walked through. By the time this is fully launched, by the time you have more orders on here, you're probably going to have better rates at finding matching offers. But let's for now just go and browse the offer book, which you can also get to from your dashboard. Kind of an interesting layout. I guess it's laid out in a sort of time-based fashion, kind of a chat-based fashion. I don't actually know if I like that or not, but basically you can see, let's look at sell offers. Oh, never mind. That is, so I want to buy Bitcoin. So we want to buy Bitcoin so we can filter to that. And so we will be brought up and see the sell offers. And then we can also filter on reputations. Let's see if there's any 5 stars in here. So these are fun early days, I guess. Are there any actual offers? Hide user messages. Okay. Okay. So there we go. So there are no 5 offer. At least 4, at least 3, at least 2, at least 1. Okay. So it's not clear what's going on with the reputation thing. I imagine that obviously that will update over time. But as of right now, it's a little bit tricky, right? You're sort of YOLOing on this. And so let's try and find someone who is selling a smaller amount. So if we do get scammed, then, you know, we're not out that much. So let's see. So this guy, for example, is selling Bitcoin anywhere between 50 to 744 in denomination. He's using Zelle 5% above market price. It's not clear, for example, why this guy's offer didn't come up in that trading wizard for me, but whatever. So we might come back to him. Let's see if we can find something a little bit smaller. 15% above market price. Not great, but it's just a little bit lower denomination. So we're going to try this out. We're going to take this offer. Okay. So you can change the minimum required reputation score in settings or preferences. So let's come over. Let's go to settings, offer and trade settings. Okay. So minimum required reputation score. This is set to default at 30,000. I think that is a responsible level for, you know, folks that are a little bit newer in particular. Again, given for purposes of just trying this out, let's YOLO and make that 0. See some other display settings here. There's, you know, network info. So again, this is by default running Tor, which is very, very cool. You can see some of those Tor stats at the bottom left. You can specify backup. So a bunch of stuff here. Again, we'll come back to some of these things on the left. But let's go back to our dashboard and enter Bisq Easy. So now we should be able to take any of these offers. Again, let's maybe do, let's do this guy. Again, this is, 25, just a little bit. Ooh, this guy's even smaller. So I'm going to take the offer and I want to spend $20 and we'll hit next. Trade fees and Bisq Easy. That's cool. The seller pays a mining fee. That's pretty interesting as well. And that's probably part of why you're paying this premium. So I can see my trade price, right? I'm paying like a whopping premium for this Bitcoin. And so again, as you get more offers into Bisq, this will become more competitive, no doubt, over time. But, screw it. Let's go ahead and take the offer. Okay, so it'll take maybe a little bit of time to connect or whatever, but we've successfully taken the offer. Please get in touch with the trade peer at Open Trades. You will find further information for the next steps over there. So let's show the trade in Open Trades. Okay, so you can always get back to that in my Open Trades here. And so this has got a nice recap and it's going to walk us through the process. So fill in our Bitcoin address. Now, you can plug in whatever Bitcoin address that you want, or alternatively, if you don't have one or you want to set one up here, you can open the wallet guide. And so it's going to walk you through downloading something like Blue Wallet, which is great for, smaller amounts on your phone, creating your new wallet, receiving, etc. So that is actually interesting. It's basically not going to give you a wallet directly in Bisq 2. And so you will need to go and grab an address. So what I am going to do is grab one. So I am in my Sparrow wallet. I am on the Receive tab. I'm just going to grab this fresh, never used Bitcoin address for this trade. Sparrow is one of my very favorite wallets. And so I've done a couple tutorials on that if you want to take a look. But again, any wallet will do. So again, I will just paste in that Bitcoin address and I will send that Bitcoin address to the seller. And so we're now going to wait for the seller's payment data. We can always chat with them as well down in this chat. Again, this was to the earlier point of needing to check, daily for trades. So this is not going to happen instantaneously. And we can reject this if we want before they have provided their fiat payment information. So let's give this a bit of time and we will be back once the seller has provided their Zelle. All right, so just in case some of the other sellers were a little bit quicker, I took a look at another offer, and indeed this one from Stray Origin has gotten back to me. And so this is the next step in the process. So the fiat payment step, as we can see, there's this message from the seller. So I'm going to send $25 to their payment account. The agreed upon method that we're using is Strike. And so again, as a reminder, don't put any, information in the reason or whatever. And then I get the username here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to Strike. I've done a video on Strike in the past that you can take a look at if you would like. Again, the goal here is really to illustrate what a trade looks like from start to finish. But I'm in Strike, and so I will go ahead and send value. And I'm going to choose this last option for username, which is a Strike user. And I'm going to type in sman123. And so there this individual is. I will go ahead and hit next. And I'm going to send sman123 $25. And there we go. Send was successful. And so now I'm going to come back and confirm the payment of $25. And we will wait for the seller to confirm receipt of the payment. And so this goes back to the point just a moment ago, right? Like Bisq easy, yes, it's easy in the sense that you no longer need that starting bit of Bitcoin in order to buy Bitcoin. That was a huge roadblock, as you could imagine. But I'm basically trusting that this user is not going to just head off with my $25. And in these early stages where you don't yet have the reputation system fully functioning, this is definitely a risk. So we're going to see what happens. You can report this to a mediator and invite them into the chat to try and settle things out. So again, the things I do for you guys, the risks I take, but we're going to give this some time and see if we can complete this. And so we'll be right back. All right, excitingly, we have not been scammed. So Stray Origin, you saw it here, is, at least in my case, a trustworthy seller. And again, there is a huge incentive for some of these early sellers that are on here to build up a reputation, right? Because they're selling Bitcoin on Bisq at a premium, and then they're potentially buying elsewhere for cheaper, and so they're making that spread. So again, there is an incentive for these guys to be honest, and in fact, we have seen that here. So the seller has started the Bitcoin payment. So we now have this transaction ID that we can take a look at in the mempool. And so there it is sitting in the mempool, waiting to be confirmed. I can also see that confirmed in my Sparrow wallet as well here, as we can see. The 30,532 sats. Now, as a quick aside, this is also where a potential challenge comes in. I would definitely recommend avoiding such a small UTXO size due to wanting to future-proof your UTXOs for higher fee environments. If that is a completely new concept to you, I have a whole video on it that I would invite you to check out that I will flash up here. I will also put that in the description down below. But therein lies the tension, right? Like you want bigger, chunkier UTXOs to be future-proofed, but you also probably don't want to YOLO at this early stage when the reputational system of Bisq 2 is still being built up. And so one thing you could do is, buy these smaller UTXOs and then combine them opportunistically when fees are a little bit lower. Again, I show in that other video how you can do just that. But that is pretty cool. We've now had our first confirmation and the trade was successfully completed. Very, very cool stuff. I can go ahead now and close the trade. And this is really nice as well. Once the trade is closed, all data related to the trade are gone and you cannot communicate with the trade peer in the trade chat anymore. So there we go. I don't know how that seller gets reputational points. Maybe it's for every successfully completed trade. But in any case, there we go. So we came onto Bisq and with absolutely no KYC whatsoever, at least beyond what we had already been using in Strike, which was used as the payment payment method. Although, as we saw, there are cash-based methods. It's just going to take a lot longer. So again, everything has trade-offs, but that was pretty clean, I must say. Let's also talk through a little bit of that roadmap that I was alluding to earlier in the video. If we come to this trade protocols tab, we can see these different ways to trade Bitcoin. So Bisq Easy is what is launched now. And as you will see, the convenience factor is very high, privacy is good. However, the security is potentially a trade-off. And it says based on only a seller's reputation. This is only suitable for smaller amounts. And then in the privacy, as I've been saying, right, this does depend on the fiat transfer method used, but then you're also going to get the Bisq multi-sig come in. And so you're going to get a little bit better security because you have security deposits. So this is basically the trade protocol in Bisq 1 that will be added to Bisq 2 in, it looks like, Q3. So you add a little bit of security, but you go a little bit against the convenience for sure. And then you can see some of these other ones that they have planned. So they've got submarine swaps from Bitcoin to Lightning. So that'll be nice. And that submarine swaps are, a concept that's been around for a long time. So that's if you want to swap from on-chain to off-chain. You have this Bisq Lightning trade protocol where you can do Lightning to fiat and combine submarine swaps and liquid stuff, right? So there is tons of stuff here planned, liquid, multi-sig swaps, all this sort of stuff. So be sure to subscribe if you are not already. I will no doubt cover more on Bisq 2 in the future, some of these other trading protocols, and you can get a little more context on pros and cons. I love that they have laid this out, and I love that they're giving that optionality to users. That is really, really nice. You have a little bit of learn section built directly into here, so you can learn about Bisq, learn about Bitcoin, security, privacy, very important. Again, given that you're watching this video, I assume you care about privacy. I have also got a whole playlist dedicated to privacy on my channel that I would invite you to check out as well. There are discussions so you can contribute feedback to the team, event support, settings, which we took a look at, etc. Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to cover is, well, let's say you want to make an offer of your own. So you can come over to the offer book and hit the create offer button. You can specify whether you want to buy or sell Bitcoin. So I'll hit buy. I want to do this in US dollars. Here are the methods that I'm willing to pay with. So again, it's going to look basically the same as that flow we were just going through earlier. How much do we want to spend? You can add a min and a max range as well. So I want to buy, at least $50 and as high as $200. And you can create that offer and that will be published to the board here. Similarly, if you wanted to sell Bitcoin, you could do that as well. And it will give you how to build up reputation. You haven't established any reputation yet for Bitcoin sellers. Building reputation is crucial. And so I suppose there's this handy little link. It'll take you to user options and show you how to build up reputation. So that is interesting. There actually are these other kind of ways. So BSQ is their kind of like governance token, I suppose. Yeah, you can import your account age from Bisq 1. That's really good. So for people that have been active or were active on Bisq 1, you can import your account age. So that is pretty cool. So anyway, just a couple notes there, but let's go ahead now and conclude today's video. All right, so I must say that was a huge step up from Bisq 1 in terms of usability and convenience. Again, not without trade-offs. You're trusting that seller. And as we discussed, the reputation system's early. You want to think about UTXO size. But I love that they are rolling out those additional trade protocols so that you can kind of pick and choose. Like once you do have a little bit of Bitcoin, maybe you move up to the regular kind of Bisq 1 style multi-sig with escrow so that you get that little bit of additional security assurance. But I'm curious to hear, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on what you've seen today with Bisq 2? Are you going to try it out? Are you going to wait a little bit? Let me know in the comments down below. But I hope you found this valuable and insightful. If you did, you already know what to do. Give this video a like, use the share feature underneath this video. That really does help get this to a wider audience. And if you were so enamored with this content, you want to donate to a pleb, which really does help me continue to make these videos. You can do so in a number of ways. There's the YouTube Super Thanks feature built directly into YouTube. Or if you'd like to send some sats my way, you can send those over Lightning to my Lightning address, me@www.ianmajor.xyz or rageyourmajor@getalby.com. And for those of you that want to get in touch for more handholding, one-on-one mentorship, consulting, etc., I'm now working with a number of different clients one-on-one. You can reach out to me at vita.page/IanMajor. I think you can also get there by going to vita.io/IanMajor, and you'll be able to get in touch with me. Again, I'm going to be active in the comments as much as I can, but as the channel grows, that gets tougher to do. And so for those of you that want additional handholding on setting up cold storage, setting up a multi-sig, running your own Bitcoin node, accepting Bitcoin payment, for your business, any of those topics and more, you can reach out to me there. But we'll go ahead and leave this here. As a reminder, every SAT counts, especially if it's non-KYC. And until next time, my friends, I'll see you then.